What's the strongest ship in the fleet? And I know fleets. Friendship. Scene Snobs, you guys are great.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast.
Welcome to the Scene Snobs Podcast, everybody. It's Tuesday night, 7 p.m., new time, new show, and I'm here joining you and the Snobs Nation, ready to have some fun. We're going to have a great time tonight. We have a great guest, so let's just jump right in, all right, guys? So I want to get into some things before we bring our guest on. It's been a pretty crazy week. I know I've said I had a rant, and we will get there, and I know we also have the Ask Mick Anything later, so be ready for that. Send in your comments, of course, guys. Chris is here. What's up, Chris? How you doing, buddy? Can't wait to see you this weekend at Carolina Fear Fest. If you guys aren't ready for it, make sure you get down there from the 26th to the 28th. We, of course, are official representatives. Carolina Fear Fest is just an amazing time celebrating horror of all facets, and we'll be there doing panels. We're going to have the live shows. So make sure you join in. I'll be hosting Saturday night party as well, dressed as my own version of the devil. So we'll have a good time. We're going to be playing a game called Let's Make a Deal with the Devil. Lots of fun stuff in store for you. So make sure you join in with that. And guys, as you know, this show is brought to you by Entertainment Earth. If you guys like collectibles, make sure you head over to Entertainment Earth. It's one of my favorites. I get so much stuff from there and more. And if you go in the link down below in the descriptions, you really help us out, but you also get 10% off. And if you spend $59 or more, you get free shipping and another 10% off. So go check that out. We really appreciate it. So yesterday, and I'm not getting political, I'm not getting crazy. You know, I don't really like to do that here. But I had a kind of a crazy scare, and I wanted to rant about it a little bit. So I pull up to my kid's school, and we do like a pickup line with the cars. So like they have two cars line up, and I'm not going to tell you the school or anything like that. That's not how I do things. But we have the cars all lined up. We're ready to go. And I'm seeing, more and more like, faculty kind of roaming around outside. Nobody's coming to take our numbers or anything like that. It's not normal procedure going on. And it's just getting kind of odd. Now time goes and no kids. I'm kind of like, what is happening right now? Did I miss a day? Are the kids at home? Did I forget? I'm not quite sure. So freaking out now. I call my wife because for some reason my phone doesn't get any of the alerts. I've tried to fix it, but for some reason they just don't send my phone the alerts. They send my wife's, all of them. So it's been pretty crazy for a bit now. So to find out, I don't actually still know what happened. There was some kind of threat called in, and they had the entire school on lockdown. And I got to tell you, now it was like 15 minutes of a delay. Now this isn't an inconvenience thing. This is a fear thing. I got to tell you, sitting outside of a school when you're getting information from your wife who's now freaking out at home, and I can laugh about it now because of where we're at and everybody's okay. School's okay. It was an empty threat, thankfully. It's one of those things where it's when you're sitting outside of that thing and like now the cops are all there, they're doing their job, thankful for them, appreciate, everything they were doing, appreciate the faculty and how on top of things they were, and the teachers, and I can't even imagine what they were going through. But and that's nothing, this but has nothing to do with them, but like, sitting outside of this, my super dad rage started kicking in. And like your mind just starts racing. Like, I gotta get in there. I know I can't. Like there's a part of me and like there's a part of my primal rage that's just like, I need to get in there. I need to get in there and make sure they're okay. I'm like, they're my boys. I got to make sure they're okay. So like the superhero adrenaline or whatever, it's like kicking in or something. And it's like pushing through. So I go and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know I can't mess with anything. They're doing their job. So I'm like kind of pacing next to my car and stuff. Cause now at this point I can't sit in the car. And I'm keeping to myself and I'm friendly with the principal. So she sees me and she's just kind of like, yeah, I see you. She's like, I see you. It's okay. Like, I got this. Like, she knows. So I'm like, all right, I gotta be cool. So now my own mind's still racing. because we hadn't gotten any information at this point, only the alerts saying that it's going to be delayed, that they had a threat, and there's due to that their safety protocols, everything's locked down, which that's fantastic that they have a plan in place. Yeah, like a Captain Mick to the rescue, absolutely not. Not that I wouldn't, I had to be cool. You got to be cool in these situations. Like, now, if the situation were anything different, that called for anything different, I don't know. But in this situation, what I was in this moment, it called for me to be cool. But man, I got to tell you, everything races through your head in that moment. And this is one of those situations where, like, it made me realize. I mean, now you realize just for watching the news every day and everything you hear. And again, I don't want to be political or go to that side of it or fight for one side, the other, things like that. I'm just telling you my feelings on it. And if anybody has been through this and you know how scary it is, or as a parent, you would definitely understand. For me to see this and to kick into that full on, like, I need to do something. And they need to know that I'm here and I'm ready to tear down walls just to get to you. It's disheartening when you're like, when the reasonable side of your brain is like, you can't do that. I was like, you can't do that. You gotta be logical. Because like the monster dad mode is like, no, you need to be a monster in this scenario and save the day. This is how it needs to be. Nothing was happening, mind you, at the moment. So again, the logical versus the illogical. So as I go on and I'm getting there and it gets closer, finally the principal talks to me, because just to talk, just to be like, hey, it's all good, just let you know, because we are kind of, we're friendly. So she knew enough to come over and just be like, hey, we're letting them out now. This is going to happen. Kind of give me a heads up. But, I still don't really know what happened. I guess I couldn't really talk about it until they were figuring things out and stuff. But like, I have to tell you, in those scenarios, it's truly terrifying and it messes with your head. And I tell this story because I've been trying through this month to talk more about mental health. And I will talk about this more. Ask Me Anything later on when we do that after the interview. We can get into it a little bit more, but I wanted to open up with it. This was something that really affected me. Really scared me, kept me up last night. It was tough. It was tough to really think about those things and kind of, rationalize like all of the stuff going on in your head, especially when it's like personally, like something that's happening, like the unknown is happening to you in that moment. So in this scenario, I just wanted to advocate for, again, just be like, this is something that has happened to me. It is keeping me up. And this is something I'm going to go and talk to my therapist about. So if you're watching or you're listening to this and you're having maybe not this as something that's bothering you, but it could be anything else. But like, this is something that's been coming up more and more. And even people who are watching the news are being affected by other families that are affected. If these things are affecting you, and I know that because those things affect me too, go talk to somebody. It is very important. So that's really what I'm about. Is especially for mental health awareness. I just wanted to say that. I wanted to open the show with that. Not so much a rant, not a complaint, nothing like that. Thank you to all the police officers. Thank you to the teachers. Thank you to the faculty, the staff, everybody who was there did a fantastic job. But if something like that affects you that much, I hope you guys know it is important to go talk about it, find help for it. So mental health awareness, I want to make sure I open up the show with that because I'm trying to keep you with that trend, especially with this month, but I do talk about it a lot. And in scenarios like that, it is important to not go fly off the handle because in life, we can't all just be superheroes. You know what I mean? But I do know somebody who could be a superhero. And he's working hard at it. He filmed something very special. He's been on the show before. He's quite an actor, quite a great guy, and quite a geek. Josh Schubart, I'm going to bring you on now. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Hey, man, how's it going?
How are you? Welcome back, sir.
It's good to be back. What's it been, like 2 years? It's been 2 years?
Has it been, man? These years have so melded so close together.
I know everything just feels like it's just trapped in this like COVID haze thing, right? Like you're just never on lockdown, right?
It's like week after week, you just keep going, and I don't even know how many shows I've done.
Well, that's all, I mean, you got Jonathan Frakes in your like intro now, which is wow, man, that's awesome. That's so cool.
That was we were very lucky, very fortunate. He's a wonderful guy to do it, and we actually I didn't realize this. I reached out to him.
Yeah,
we had gotten Will Wheaton to be on the show.
Oh wow, that's great.
That was a connection through a friend. He was promoting his book, and he came on the show and had a wonderful time. Wonderful guy. And then when we reached out to Jonathan Frakes, we didn't go to Will Wheaton at all. He went to Will Wheaton and asked about us, and I guess he said really nice things, and
that's wonderful. And like that's what's really cool about the whole like nerd community in general. Like even if you're an actor or if you're whatever, like everybody's so intertwined. It's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You can definitely tell who's genuine, who's not in the nerd community, especially the whole geekdom is just it's really just a special place.
It's thumbs up. It's thumbs up, because it used to be just a place where we like hid away from getting beaten up all the time, and now it's like a really cool place where like even the people that used to beat us up want to be a nerd now, which is cool, but you're not ever going to be a really cool weird nerd.
I know, right? It's actually funny you mentioned that. I was having this talk with my oldest son the other day, where we were talking about like, you didn't really get to do this stuff in public when I was a kid. Like you could love it, but you loved it like shamefully in a closet.
Yeah, you got to do it in like a basement somewhere, like hiding away from the light, eating like nothing but like pizza rolls and Mountain Dew.
And you loved every minute of it.
You loved every second of it. It was fantastic.
Well, it's so great to have you back on the show, and I remember 2 years ago when we were talking about it, and how your favorite is Ben Grimm.
I love Ben Grimm. I love the whole idea of him. And I don't feel like we've seen a really good version of him, right? Because he's usually like the dude that's in the family but not part of the family, and he never gets enough time. And like even in the earlier comics, excuse me, I'm gonna he's this like big dummy. He's like a big dummy who has a lot of heart, and then he evolves into a more like complex human being. And it's a role that I've always really wanted to play. I love the idea of having this kind of like craggly large outside with this really deep emotive life on the inside, because that's who I am as a person. Just a sidebar, I love, and I forgot this about you because I haven't spoken to you in so long. I love how openly you speak about mental health.
Thank you.
Just also, you're a man of larger size, just like I am, and it's very inspirational to have a person that looks like you actively talking about this, especially with men. It is not spoken about enough. So just like kudos, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, and you were very inspirational in that early on, especially because your show, when you came on to promote it, was and one thing that I really loved about it is like, because it was very early on dealing with mental health, and we could talk about that as well. I would love for people to hear about it and be able to go and check it out. It's called After, if you guys haven't heard of it, and it's a man dealing with the loss of his wife, and kind of I don't want to say moving on, but yes, like it's like everyone's, you either move on or you stay still, right? So this is the story of what moving forward, let's not say moving on, yes. Yeah, I think that's more along the lines of what I was kind of like looking for. Yeah, like not so much moving on, but moving forward, and because there's never a forgotten memory of your wife on the show. Right. It's being able to live life now in a different way.
Like be reborn again into the world that you in fact love, but you forgot how to love it.
Yeah, you did such a fantastic job on that show, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. This is the first time I've done an interview with no beard, and it's really weird, man.
I love it though, man. And you shaved it to play Ben, right?
Right. So let's pivot back to that. So I've always really connected with like these like monster archetypes that aren't what they seem, because we've talked about this before, I think, but like just as like a larger man, especially when I have the beard, you can first come across as scary, and people don't give you a chance necessarily right away. And like I've had people move out of the way in New York City. They move out of my way on the sidewalk in New York City, where there's people doing heroin on the subway. They move out of my way. But the thing about Ben is that he loves everyone so much, and he has a deep emotional life that we haven't seen, at least in the films. And I really want to play this character very badly in the MCU. And there are all these speculations and all of these rumors. And are they going to go with a woman? Are they going to go with a person of color? Are they going to? I don't care, right? Like, I'm just gonna. That's all rumor. Like if it's Adam Driver, if it's whoever is going to be Mr. Fantastic. So what I finished shooting yesterday, and why I am freaking clean shaven, is because I made a short film. It's only about 2 minutes long, because it's meant to be a guerrilla audition, called The Transformation of Ben Grimm. So it's the moments right before, in the middle, and after of Ben transforming into the Thing. And it has more of like a horror thriller vibe, like the transformation of the werewolf or the awakening of Frankenstein's monster, because that's kind of what this is, and we've never seen it happen, right? We just kind of see the aftermath. Like he feels weird, he feels bad, he either lays down or he's a pile of rocks, and then in the next scene he's a rock man and he's sad. But we never get to see him go through the transformation. So in this, you get to watch me go through the transformation live on camera, which is really cool. I hired an incredible prosthetics artist. Her name is Sydney Sawyer. She has worked for Disney before. She's made a lot of stuff in Batu. She's made a ton of stuff in the Avatar land, Minnie and Mickey's roller coaster, the new one. She helped make that. A bunch of other stuff that I can't say because it's locked behind an NDA right now. But can I curse?
Yeah, go for it.
She fucking killed it. Like,
awesome.
If you go to my Instagram, I have posted some pictures there of the shoot, me in partial costume, partial makeup, just so it's not all spoiled. But it's really cool. And worked with a DP. His name is Jamal Solomon. He is incredible. If you've watched Empower on Disney Plus, which is the Marvel documentary about the women of Marvel, he is the cinematographer for that TV show. So I managed to work with a guy who's worked with Marvel before, which is really, really cool. And we shot an after credit scene. So it really is like a mini Marvel film. It's a 2-minute short with an after credit scene. And I'll spoil it, I guess, here. But so in the comics, Ben hosts poker games all the time. So either in like other people's books or like in his own book, you'll happen upon him hosting a poker game. So I host a poker game as the Thing with where's my finger? This guy's in it.
Oh my God! Yes, I love it. You can see Wolverine. If you can't see it, it's Wolverine for anybody who's listening later.
And it's really fun, and the beginning part is pretty serious, and the after credit scene is really light, just to get both ends of the spectrum for the MCU. But yeah, it's a guerrilla audition, so like I need people to like share the hell out of it when it comes out, and it'll come out pretty soon. We are like hyper speeding post just because we want to get this out, and like by the end of this month, and before Comic-Con also, just so that I can really get spun up into the nerd brain and go crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the time, right? I guess they're gearing up more and more for the Fantastic Four movie. You know, they're talking about it more and more. And Ben Grimm, I think, is such an important character, and I think they learned that a lot in the last movie that was just didn't work. I think they realized how important all of these characters are.
Yeah, the last movie, I liked a lot of choices that they made. So I liked aspects of Please Forgive Me. The all of them, like even the ones made like in the 1970s that were like trash garbage, like just to like appreciate the fact that people are trying to do it, right?
Mm.
I mean, I love the Silver Surfer in the early thousands ones.
Yeah.
I liked seeing him. I didn't like Galactus as like a space fog monster, but what are you gonna do? Hopefully we'll get a better Galactus. But
I like so well now. I think Galactus could probably be done really well.
I mean, it could just be a person now.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, like in the Eternals, there were like huge shit, and like even in in Guardians of the Galaxy, they're like in like one of the giant Eternals heads. So like, yeah, it can be done. Technology.
And it should be done, and and I'm sure it's going to move to that point, and I hope so. And I wish you all the best with it, man. And I think that's going to be fantastic. So doing this, and I love the fact that in 2 years, and the fact that we were talking about it, and that was your dream, man. Like you really, like, anybody go back and watch our first interview. We talked about this, and now you're making it happen. You're putting it into practice. Not even into practice. You were really motivatingly putting in this audition short film. You got so many great elements to it. You know, I've looked at the because I follow you everywhere, so I've seen the pictures you've been putting up with the prosthetics and stuff.
Yeah,
it looks good, man. It really looks good, dude.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, she did such an excellent job. It looks so good, and we took her own spin on it. So I'm not orange, for like anyone that's like hoping that I'm orange. I'm not. You can hate me for it, but I wanted to do my own thing. And I think you'll like it. It's really cool. I have a cool voice for it.
Nice.
Yeah. But like, yeah, so when we last spoke, like there was a lot of momentum on my side because I was on the tick and I was coming off of that. And then we like had a lockdown in the middle, and it like fried everybody's everything. And it killed it like shut the industry down and all that stuff. So like everything kind of went like screechy screech. And ground to a halt. And then the way the MCU now is like, it's all offers to people that are already famous, whereas it used to be like they would bring in new people and we'd meet new awesome folks. And I guess I'm like trying to disrupt the way that it's currently going, because people know me, but I'm not a household name. You know, like I don't have any awards. I don't have any Emmys or Oscars. You know, like I haven't already been cast in one of the Mouse's IPs. So my road in is very like, this is like a wedge that I'm trying to like shove up into an already existing machine. And it may not work, but at least I fucking tried to do it. And it could lead to something else, you know, like just, you know, making something on your own terms that you are very, very confident with, and you know is going to be a good product, is worth it. And like a lot of the times worth more than what you even plan it to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like a huge example is like I look at like Ben Edlund, who created the Tick, and his impact on culture in general has been so vast in a way that I feel like most people can't even like understand or like fathom. Like he's been a public person in the nerdscape since like 89 or something, 80, 86. And he's just like a down to earth dude who appreciates everybody and like just loves the fact that people love what he created. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to just make a thing that I like and that I want to make it well. And if it resonates with people, or if it changes somebody, or if it makes people feel good, then that's just like, that's bonus, and that's extra good stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great, I mean, it's a great sentiment to have. Like, you know, that the fact that you're just trying to create something, you're putting something out in the world, and it's something good and it's something positive, and that's never a bad thing.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do really like, and not to keep harping on it, and I don't think it is, but it's the aspect of mental health, as we were talking about, and like Ben Grimm. Now you could say it for any comic book hero, really, especially Marvel, but like Ben Grimm is a great representative, especially for, you know, comic book fans of mental health, and especially anguish
And grief, and then acceptance and moving forward, right? Because he's one of the very few that is permanently changed. There's no way back. He can't like hop back and forth. He's just in his mind a horrible rock monster that can't do anything, you know. He's freakishly strong. He has to learn how to control that in a totally, like, because people aren't as forgiving of you when they're afraid of you, right? Like if you look like Superman and you're really handsome and you like knock over a building, they're like, oh, look at that handsome guy, it's okay, he's just very sensitive. But if like a freakish monster like knocks your car over, and you'd be like, this fucking monster is an ugly piece of shit, I hate him, you know, like, and you have to deal with that.
It's so easy to, especially in society, and that's what I love about Ben Grimm's character and the dynamic of the Fantastic Four, because you have a Sue Storm who is like this, you know, she's the first mother really of Marvel, and she's this statuesque beauty who is pegged with force fields and invisibility. Yeah. So, and then you have, you know, Mr. Fantastic and you know, Johnny Storm, who can really embrace their powers, and they enhance what they are. One dynamic I always loved about Ben Grimm is like his resentment towards Hulk.
Yeah, because he can change back.
Yeah, he can always change back, and even after their fights, and it's usually Ben Grimm trying to stop the Hulk from destroying something,
right,
where it becomes more destructive because of the Hulk. He's still pegged the monster because the Hulk can change and walk away.
Right. And it's just him, and he's there. Yeah. No, it's true. And it's a lot of you know, being positive with yourself. Like it's like, especially with Ben Grimm. I mean, like his name becomes the Thing, which is like almost like a horrifying moniker, right? Like it takes away his humanity completely, because he's a thing. He's not a person anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like him finding his way back to his humanity. Not only have we never seen it, but it's a thing that in the comic books they do address, and it's like we need to see that. We need to see it in the movies, you know. Like even in the cartoon show, like he's very sensitive and he cares a lot, but he's still the Thing. He's still this monster that he's a quirky monster that likes to help children, but he's still the rock monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it plays out well. To kind of switch gears a little bit and get more into the MCU side of it. Now, to sort of play the hypothetical, let's say you get it. Now, what is something you would really like to see happen with Ben Grimm and the Fantastic Four within the world of the MCU? What is your dream of storylines or villains you'd like to see face off against, things like that?
I mean, the classic is like I would like to see like Dr. Doom be a big bad in some fashion. Like, yes, I know that we are going to be like scream running at Galactus, because that's where we are. We're like in this big epic land and we're never going back, right? And that's and he's like the biggest bad because he eats worlds and he's a psycho, and we're gonna probably get this Silver Surfer again, but like Magic Doctor Doom is one of the most horrifying villains in all of the Marvel universe. Like, not the scientist, but the one that wields magic is terrifying, and could just like smite Thanos, just like whammo. And the whole point of it is like the Fantastic Four's got to like they got to figure out how to use all the science to like beat the magic, right? So basically I'd like to see the Magic Doctor Doom. That's what I'm saying. I think based off of where it's going, unless they close the multiverse loop, which I think they have to, but that's just me personally, we're probably gonna get a Fantastic Four. This is just my extrapolations. They're probably going to go get them from the 1960s on like Earth like 92 or whatever, and they get pulled in at some point into, because I think this is Earth 616 in the MCU, which is why they're trying to do the Lady She thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the way they go. And right now with everything with Jonathan Majors, which they'll figure that out. I'm not trying to speculate or anything on that, but it's so open. I mean, you're not hearing anything. We don't even really know what's going to happen. He was pegged as the huge big bad, and I'm sure they'll go forward with however they handle it. But Dr. Doom is one I would absolutely love to see.
I'd love to see Doom. Yeah.
I think you do need to close that multiversal loop beforehand. I agree with you. Like, not that, I mean, of course I want it closed in a way where it's satisfying. Like it comes to a head, like maybe a battle world or something. But after that, let's get some Dr. Doom in there. Because that guy, he could be a villain for everyone.
Oh yeah, no, he is a villain for everyone. He's a villain for all types. Like, he is, just because of what he can do and who he brings together, and like, he creates like the coalitions of evil all the time, where like he's like, let's all do crazy shit to stuff and go wild and try to, I mean, he's basically like, space Hitler, if you want to, but like, and what a better person to fight than Space Hitler.
Hopefully they'll just keep the mask on him though this time.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I don't want to see. Well, also, like, what was he like, hacking the mainframe and he got like hit with electricity and then became upset and then he became Dr. Doom?
Oh no! See, that movie doesn't exist to me anymore, other than that one time I mentioned it on the show.
The one time that we were trying to talk about it,
just to prove that point earlier, and then I got rid of it.
And I would love to see when the Fantastic Four was not classic Fantastic Four. Like, that's like way down the line, but like there were times where like Ghost Rider was in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Like, and that was a crazy time. Like, it wasn't like a long run, but it was wild.
Spider-Man, Hulk at one time.
Spider-Man, Hulk. Yeah, and and what's interesting about it is that the only part of the team that was like usually there was the Thing. Like, even if like everybody else was off doing whatever. It'd be like he was there. He was like, all right, I'm the Fantastic Four PR department or whatever. Like
he that is such a great character, and I love that you're so attracted to that character. So going in, and now while you were making this, so how long? So you made it over the course of what? 2 days? 3 days?
2 days. Yeah.
2 days.
It was a massive 2.5-page script. Massive. Huge.
That's a lot for 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of action though.
You directed it as well?
I did, and I produced it. It was
Now,
my first time directing, which was fun.
I knew you've produced before and you've written.
Yeah.
So directing,
yeah,
stepping in, what was that like? What was tell me a little bit about like stepping in the shoes of a director.
It's a thing that I've actually like found myself doing in my own head for a long time, right? Like when I'm on set or like when I'm writing, like I try to do this thing where whenever I write a thing or I'm producing a thing that I wrote, I try to like get somebody to work with who will like collaborate with me as the director so that like I can have input on stuff. And I've always been that way because I love to collaborate. And I was working on this thing with a really awesome director. His name's Steve Lamort, and he just had The Mean One, which is the Grinch horror movie parody that was just in the movie theater. And I was working on a short film with him, and I was coming up with all these ideas. And like he was like, listen, Josh, you know that like I'm gonna take all these ideas that you have and I'm gonna get the credit for them. Because I'm the director, and I'm happy that you're here and you're making everything better. And it'll be awesome, but it seems like you have the ability to do this too. Why don't you try it? And in the moment I was like, no, like I don't want to like, I'm not like a Wes Anderson. I don't want to do everything. People are like, it's a Wes Anderson film. It's annoying. He does everything. But I was like, let me try it out for this. And I liked it. I did. I liked it a lot. I certainly have a lot to learn. I'm not like being a director is not like, it's just like everything else that I had to learn how to do. Like acting and writing and producing, it's a whole process. But because of going through the producing side and also like being a writer and being an executive producer on stuff, it wasn't like totally like, oh man, because it's a lot of planning, right? Mm-hmm. You and the director of photography like scout, sit down, talk through shots, talk through blocking, well before you even walk onto set. Mm-hmm. So the planning aspect from like a hyper creative, like non-linear mind, I would say I have. Like I've got a lot of ideas that like jump up when they jump up. But having to plan them I was like, oh, this is a little bit more challenging. This is a little bit more. That was the weird part. Like I was like, all right, so I can't just like wing it when there's a whole crew and you have to set up lighting and stuff. Oh, this is why everyone is always like asking for like a month of pre-production whenever I produce anything. And I'm like, what do you need that much time for? Well, that's what you need that much time for. Yeah.
I think honestly, your best bet in selling it definitely to MCU is telling them like, I don't mind, I'll stay in the prosthetics. Because mind. Yeah. Look at how many actors, look at Michael Chiklis. I thought did a pretty good job, and he played it well and for the time, and it looked good for the time and such. But stepping into it, they changed it to me. Like he switched back a few times throughout those two movies,
right,
and it was
which was annoying.
That's just not who Ben Grimm is. I don't think you guys know who this guy is, and I get it when it comes to actors. And I'm talking about like the movie stars. They want their face in there, and I get that their face is their brand, and that I get you want it to be seen, but like you got to do these characters. character service, and
Well, that's true. Like, especially with with these types of characters that have 100 years of an incredible fan base too. Is that um, the whole like Marvel's killing the movie star thing? I don't think that's true at all. Like, it's not like you can put anybody in these roles and they can do them just because they're playing that character. Um, if it's an IP that, like, from a comic book or from a video game, like, for example, like Joel in The Last of Us, Pedro Pascal did such an incredible job with that character. And for anybody who is a psychotic fan of that, the way that I am, um, I went into it extremely skeptical, Mick. I'm gonna tell you, I was very like, is this gonna be good? I'm not gonna, fucking, I hate it. It's not gonna be as good as the Naughty Dog game. It was better in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Like, just, I loved the humanity, and I think that's what I'm getting at. Like, the actor needs to be able to bring a certain level of true humanity to a character that has a fandom that people love.
Yeah.
And that you have a responsibility to, especially if you're a fan, you have a responsibility to a fandom to do that character justice, even if it's not the same as what they're used to. Yeah.
And as an actor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always just kind of felt this way, personally when I'm watching movies, and just when it comes to more of the movie star type. Again, I understand brand, and I understand that's kind of who you're putting yourself out there, and you want your face shown, and that sort of thing. But a lot of those great actors we really revere, we hold up there and say, oh, that's one of the greatest actors of all time. They have characters that stand out because they were unrecognizable in them.
Yeah.
We didn't see them. Like, when I watch Forrest Gump, I don't see Tom Hanks.
Right.
And there's this slew of, so many that you can say that about. And one that I can definitely say, The Grinch. Let's say Jim Carrey's The Grinch, and kind of correlate it to what you're going for with the Ben Grimm and The Thing. He stayed in costume the entire time, and that acting in that is on par, unlike any other, in my opinion.
There's a really real thing with uncomfortability when you're trying to, like, play something or play someone. And what's really cool about wearing a piece or like wearing a prosthetic is that you almost don't have to do anything, because you look at yourself and you're different, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't recognize yourself in the mirror, and then all of a sudden, like it was happening to me yesterday, like, as my face was changing more and more, the voice just started happening normally when I was talking to people, and then as the rest of the costume went on, like, I just was like, there, I was in it. It's almost easier to become when you are, it's very for people who know any of the the techniques, it's very Chekhov, where you're working from the outside in as opposed to the inside out. Excuse me. But it all works. It's all acting.
I appreciate you sharing that with me. That's fantastic advice, and good to know, especially thinking about it. So for you, going forward, so we're going to help you share it out, and everybody, down in the description, I have Josh's links, and once the project is done, we will share that out as well. So that way, we hope you guys will. So that's what we want you to take away from this. Share it out, hashtag it, hashtag it. I almost said Josh tag it, but
Josh tag it. Flashbang it.
Hashtag it. Let's try and make this happen for Josh. He put a lot of work into this, and I can tell you, 2 years ago, he was talking about this.
I've been talking about this for a long time.
He's here now, and you've gotten your audition, so to speak. And I love this. I love how you went, and this is true ambition, in my opinion. You put it together. You went for it, and you got it. And you just finished filming yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wish you all the best, man. I hope to see you up on the big screen.
Me too.
Playing Ben Grimm. And actually, one of our Snob Nation members, Chris, so Carolina Fear Fest is a fear festival that we are representatives of this weekend. We're going to be doing it. He's asking, who's your favorite horror icon or franchise?
Okay, so I'm going to do two answers here. So I'm going to do one off of what scared me up until about 5 or 6 years ago, because it really bothered me as a child. Chucky ruined me because I didn't even watch it. I saw the trailer for it on television when I was like 9 or 8 or something, and it like ruined my life. Like my grandmother that year had bought me like a life-size, like one of those like life-size kid dolls,
My Buddies or something.
Yeah, one of those things. And at the time, I think they were like a couple of $100 in like the 80s or whatever, like very expensive. And like she was like really going like hard on it. She was like, "This is for Joshua. He is special boy, grandson." I was like, "Thanks, Grandma." And then I saw the trailer about a human boy doll that murders people. And then we had a garage sale, and I made this woman buy it for $5.
Get it away from me! I don't want it. I'm right there with you. It was the same. Like I think we're about the same age. So yeah, when I was a kid and I saw that, I was like, "This is unsettling. Get rid of everything."
And then like, I love Freddy Krueger.
Nice.
I love the idea. It's the psychological shit, right? Like, yeah. I like the slasher shit. Like, I like Jason. I mean, obviously, Freddy is also very, very violent, you know, but this is like a million answers that I'm giving. I love horror too. I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That is like one of the funniest, stupidest horror movies ever. That's a whole other genre. I love Evil Dead. That's a lot of answers.
You can give as many as you want. I don't mind. We love horror here as well. It's funny because the Chioda brothers who did it, they were amazing prosthetic workers as well. Mm-hmm. They made all those masks and such. And that was like one of their first forays into directing, writing the movie Killer Clowns and such. And I remember that commercial when I was a kid. Oh man, that gave me some nightmares. I was like, is this real?
Do you remember when they just popped the balloon in that dude's face and his whole face melts off?
Oh my God. Remember when they're driving and the one comes up and he's not even in a car. He's just like pretending to drive next to him. Oh man, I had nightmares forever. I hated it.
I mean, I will say that I loved like the more recent turn to making horror more I don't want to say good because that's the wrong wording, but it like started happening with like the Cabin in the Woods remake, right? Mm-hmm. Like where you got higher budgets, higher production quality, better actors, better storylines, but you still got to keep the same messaging that was in horror. But it was more, it hit a larger audience in a way that I thought was really special. And I think it started there.
Yeah, we definitely did see once that push started coming in to the horror genre, and we saw horror fans growing up to become horror filmmakers.
Yeah.
And that was a nice
Blumhouse, thing. Like they really just went ham sandwich with it all,
Yeah, they really do. They love revisiting. I got to give it to them. But I got to tell you, Josh, I'm really stoked for you. I when you're hitting the big time, your name's in the lights. Hopefully, you'll come back and talk to us.
I'll come back whenever you want.
Oh man, we'd love to have you back. Talk geek, man. You know that. So anytime, man, you reach out and we'll definitely do this. And before 2 years, let's do this.
Let's do this before 2 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, do you want to do a thing where like we watch the movie on your live stream?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Once you get it out there. Once you have it edited and stuff, reach out to me, and then we'll figure out a good date and stuff, and we'll.
I mean, I know that it's kind of forward, and you are live right now, so you can't be like, "Fuck you, it's my show." But like,
oh no, you see, this is how I know you don't watch. I do say that. No, I'm kidding. No, absolutely. I do want to show it. I do want to talk about it. So absolutely. So reach out to me as soon as it's done, and then let's talk about it.
I will,
because I want to help you too, and I want to put it out there and more people who see it if we can.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming on the show. And absolutely send me the link as soon as you do too, so I can start sharing it out as well.
I will send everyone the link right away. You will never stop seeing the link for probably a year.
I've loved it though, because like I'm always on TikTok when I'm like have some downtime. Like I'll just, because it's nice and easy. Like I'm just like sitting there and I'll flip through before I have to start something else.
Yeah.
And it's just like I've seen a lot of your stuff, and so I've been watching a lot of the getting ready to make it and things like that. So it's been cool.
It's the most I've ever posted. But I will say that in the past, this is the craziest shit ever. In the past, like week and a half, I have gotten like over 1,000 new Instagram followers. Like they've just like one of my like doing the voice and like in like a tank top, really sweaty. Then I do like a big like flex at the end, went kind of viral. And then all these people were just like, I like this combo of shit, and they just started following me. So it's been pretty cool.
That's
actually
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Definitely, if I can give any advice for, especially for like the TikToks and Instagram Reels and stuff like that, take some of your once it's made, cut it down into clips. Smaller clips, but even if it's like one-liners or something.
We actually shot a lot of me just improving in character. So we have a lot of me like actually like talking shit about the Hulk, talking crap about Drax, like me talking about what it's like to be a hero in New York City, like just like all this stuff. But I want to talk about a shot that I think is really incredible, because I had an idea for it, but the DP like really like ran. So like there's the whole like beginning part, and then there's a reveal moment where there's a mid transformation, then we cut to black, and then you reveal me fully transformed. Nice. And there's this really cool shot that we found, like where I had this idea that I wanted to like light a match to a cigar, and that was going to be the thing that like revealed the face. But it was really windy last night, and we just kept trying to like light it. So I just lit the whole like match container on fire. So I'm just holding this like fireball in my hand, and I light the cigar with it.
I love that.
Yeah. But like there's thanks Bub77. That's awesome. I can't wait for you to see it.
It's going to be exciting, man. This is such, again, I love to use the word ambitious because it's also inspiring that you did do this. I love the fact that you're stepping up, you're doing something, you want to play this character, you're taking it back. Because again, remember when we started in Marvel, when the MCU really started, a lot of these actors, Chris Hemsworth, nobody knew who he was,
right?
And that was a good thing, and I loved that. And Tom Hiddleston and Chris Evans, you saw him in a few things, but he wasn't like a huge leading man. Because I remember when he became Captain America, I was like, holy crap, that's the guy from Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah, he would always play assholes. That was the thing. He was like the dude that you hated. I mean, he was Johnny Storm, but like everyone hated him for it, and he hated himself for it. So,
how often do you remember it though? Like even then, like, cause you're kind of like, oh yeah. Even now, like you're saying, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, he was.
Yeah, he was.
And I did know it, but at the same time, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, he was.
Well, now he's Captain America, but it's true. And I've been having conversations like kind of like this, but I really love the new Guardians of the Galaxy, right? I liked it a whole lot, and it's because to me it's the first comic book movie that I've seen since Endgame. Spider-Man was great, but that was like, it was really good, but there was also a lot of nostalgia. But it was a fantastic film. Guardians of the Galaxy, what James Gunn did with a comic book that does have fans, but it's like nobody, they're like, oh, we're gonna get Guardians of the Galaxy. Why? Who gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
And I have not cried that hard in a movie theater during one of these films since like Infinity War.
All three.
Yeah.
All three had great emotion to them, great range.
And it's like the reason that the first 10 years worked was, we were doing this epic build, and we're also doing this epic build now, but we had comic book films, you know, like the stakes and the relationships and everything were earned through trial and tribulation and epic comic book stakes. Whereas I know that Phase 4 was trying to like have people deal with it, like deal with the mental health part of it, but I don't think it ever really was other than Black Panther, it never really was truly walked into properly.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Because
you needed a breakup.
Yeah.
My apologies. I didn't mean to cut you off.
We're just having like we're having a nerd moment. So it's
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's for me, especially when it came to that in the Phase 4, because I didn't mind Phase 4, but yeah, it definitely doesn't have the same clout that the first three phases did. And granted, you're right, they were building to something, but they should have stepped back and said, all right, we're going to try and make this a Phase 1 again. Now we have these familiar characters, and they should have been the ones dealing with the grieving and the mental health. And anyone new you're introducing should have been more along the lines of what the Phase 1 was.
Right.
Because then you bring that levity to it, and then there's a good mix of what's opening up, I think, personally.
Also, why the fuck haven't we seen America Chavez again? Like, right? She's so important to, like, if we're gonna build to the Young Avengers now, like if that's where we're going, where the fuck, like, she's the leader of the Young Avengers, like, why? Also, like, no one knew who she was in Multiverse of Madness. Like, they were just like, oh, it's a character that can like punch through the multiverse. That's her power. It's like, yes, but what the fuck? What the fuck's going? So there's a lot of rushing in a way that they didn't care about before. They didn't care about rushing. They were taking their time, and I think that's a big thing, Mick. I think it's a big thing is the rushing. We don't need to rush.
Yeah,
we never did.
Absolutely not, and it definitely hurt the story overall, because you're right. Why wouldn't Kang be going after America Chavez? He's going after everyone who has
the biggest threat, right? Like she can fuck him up the hardest.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you, and I would love to see you on that screen with the rest of them. With the 4 on your chest. Well, technically it's Ben Grimm, so you wouldn't have it on your chest, but
I would have it on my. I would have it on the inside of my underpants.
There you go. But I want to say thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. Joining in, having a great conversation. We're going to bring you back on once you launch everything. We're going to set a date, bring you back on, so hopefully we can show it on here, and let's talk about it some more. Let's geek out some more, man.
I will, and I got a message about a half an hour ago. There's like a geek contingent, with a pretty huge following that's actually trying to put together like a live premiere of it, which I didn't even ask for, but they've been following me, and they're trying to organize like a really big premiere for this 2 minute short. So I was like, cool, yeah, let's do it. I was like, you're aware it's like 2-3 minutes, and they're kind of like, they're like, yeah, we love what you're doing, and we want you to do it. So yeah.
Well, I think the Snobnation will definitely want to be there, man. So please let us know. We would absolutely love to join in, even if it's virtually or something, to kind of be a part. And let's get a hashtag going, man.
Yeah,
Josh is the thing or something. Like, let's do it.
I think Schubart's clobbering time.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that, man.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thanks again. I'm going to kick you off because I'm going to close out the show.
Okay.
But,
yeah,
I'm going to
we
get
will
with
never
you.
stop talking to each other. We'll just keep talking for the entire night. So
happily, by
you
the
have
way.
to kick me off.
Oh yeah, nice. John Wass says Schubart's clobbering time. There you go.
That looks great.
And Dad Pool says Josh looks like a younger Michael Chiklis. So I think that's playing to your favor, sir.
Ooh.
And the Josh tag.
Josh tag.
I think I accidentally made that one up. So
Josh tag.
Josh, thank you again for joining in tonight. Really appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Let's make them the thing, everybody. All right. And I will keep a lookout for it, and we'll get you set up for next time.
Awesome, man.
All right, take care, sir.
Bye.
Guys, check out down below in the description. We have all Josh's links. Let's help him out. Please share this out. I think it's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's get crazy with it, man. Why not? I would love to see Josh. I had so much fun when he was on the show last time talking to him about it. And it was just such he had such a desire to play this role. And he knows it. He knows the source material. He's a geek through and through. In fact, go check out that interview. I'll share it out again. It was just so much fun, and he's such a great guy. And I know he thinks that he pressured me while he was live, but I definitely am going to have him back on the show. I want to show this short. I can't wait to see it. And definitely, Josh, if you are listening, which I know you are because I can see you in the green room, make sure you take those. Make sure you take all of those like short clips, keep putting them on TikTok, Instagram Reels. Let's get it out there. Share the hashtag and more. And it's just going to be a ton of fun. All right, guys. As we're kind of moving on and we're getting ready to close out the show, of course, we have the Ask Mick Anything. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to answer them for you. Talk about it like that. And then we're going to do a Did I Fix? So what'd you guys think? Hopefully, and also if you want to have any questions, we have burning questions, which are coming up for Carolina Fear Fest. If you have any questions that you want me to ask any of the celebrities, let me know, and I will do that. I'll write them down. You can message me later, or you can, just say, tell me here, or just make sure you get it out to me. Actually, I would just say, just message me. That's probably your best bet. So that way I know I can be a part of it, but I went with, I did pick up a new find today, and anybody who's listening is not going to be able to see it, but if you go to my Instagram, you will be able to see it. You guys know I love the Eagle Moss. And can you guess what ship this is? It's not actually a ship that is real within the Star Trek world. It is a part of something else, but it is a very cool ship, and I do love it. So Jeremy says, Mick, have you seen Malum yet? I watched it last weekend and it was great. No, but I will check it out. I trust Jeremy's opinion because Jeremy's got some good advice for it to check out. I'm all for it. Bub says, I'm all for it. Like you said, that's what made the early movies so good, was the characters were relatable and not typecast beyond super famous. Yeah, I mean, now it seems like the offer to all of these characters goes out. Although the one who plays America Chavez, I'm sorry, her name escapes me, and actually it starts with an X, and it's like, for this guy, is incredibly hard to pronounce. But next time I will learn it and say it. But she played America Chavez. I don't want to say she's relatively unknown. I've seen her in other things, but comparatively to like a Benedict Cumberbatch, she is. Even more reason why she should be showing up in a multiversal movie. Okay. Zotili Gomez. I might be butchering that, so I just want to say, but thank you, AJ. I appreciate that. That was the dad pool giving that to me, and I appreciate you, man. Are you going to watch the Mogwai show review? I could. I don't know. I'm not overly excited for the Mogwai show. I love Gremlins. I love the first Gremlins, and I'll watch the second one from time to time. My kids do really enjoy it. And I have more, I guess, nostalgia for the second one than I do a love for it. The first one I just absolutely love. I watch that probably once every couple of years or so. It's such a good movie. But the second one is very campy and cheesy. So like I'll go to that every once in a while. I don't know that I need more on the Mogwai, like I just kind of like those two movies and that's it. But I could check it out, and I could review it if you want. I always take requests. Well, I take requests within reason. Sometimes those requests aren't always great, but I trust you, AJ. So yeah, and I thought that was a great answer that Josh gave for horror movies, right? And I completely connected with that because it was Chucky and Killer Clowns, things like that. Because when you're that young in the 80s, and some of you know this, you watch those trailers, they freak you out. I think that's a lost art form in today. Like the trailers today, they have the jump scares and they can be spooky, but they're not like they were back in the day. There was something about those trailers back in the day, and maybe it was just because TV was just TV, and people were always watching it. Like we always had it on, and it was always available, so you were going to see those trailers. Now in streaming, you may see them, you may not. You skip over them, things like that. So you may not get it, and especially when you're a kid. So you kind of miss out on those things. Jeremy asks, Mick should watch all 1,700 eps of One Piece and review it for us within reason, and I'm not doing that. My son started watching One Piece, and he was like, I'm going to watch them all. And I was like, there's no way. I thought he did because I didn't realize there was 20 years worth of episodes. And I was talking to my buddy Gerard, who some of you know, he's part of the Snobnation. He's been on a show plenty of times, and he's a big anime guy. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I think he finished One Piece. He goes, nobody finishes One Piece. I was like, oh, really? I was like, is it that much? And I got the shows mixed up. It was actually Naruto is what he finished. So he goes, yeah, he's like, if you want him to really like, he's like, he can go back and he can rewatch some of the favorites. He was urged him to kind of look them up, but he's like, probably, I forget exactly what he said to start with. I wrote it down and I gave it to Tommy, and I guess that's where he went with it. What shows am I watching now? Good question, Chris. Always Ted Lasso. I love Ted Lasso. And I'm sad to see it go, but it is a fantastic show. So I'm watching Ted Lasso. I started White House Plumbers. I'm watching that. I am watching. I'm trying to think of all the things I've got, on the pipeline. Watching Marvelous Miss Maisel to finish that out. That show is just dragging to the finish line. Like I liked it at first. First 3 seasons were really good, and the last couple it's just like, ooh, it's just dragging on. Anything else that I'm watching at the moment? It's just kind of hit or miss. I'm watching the last season of Succession. And it's like a loathing watch. It just pisses me off. I'm so tired of this show. I'm so tired of these people. It is disgusting to watch, but I am watching. I'm hoping for a demise. I'm hoping that they fail. But we'll see. I doubt it. But that's ending too. I think I'm just kind of finishing that off as well. It's not. I just finished Mrs. Davis. Loves that. Watch that if you haven't watched it. It's on Peacock. I watched Bupkis. That was fun. That was a good one. Joe Pesci was great. And if anything, Joe Pesci just proved to me that I truly, honestly want to see another My Cousin Vinny movie. And he could do it. And Marissa Tomei could come back. That would be amazing. So stuff like that. I watched the new Night Court. Is what it is. It just doesn't have the same charm as the original. Bub says, I firmly believe it was the narrator for the trailers back then is why they were so good. Yeah, 100%. I like how they cut the trailers now. They're very good. They're very cinematic. I really like the editing that goes into the trailers. But there was something about that. And it's almost like a Drew Struzan done poster. Like when you had a Drew Struzan poster, which right here, like that's a Drew Struzan, those style, where they were more like the sketch, he did every movie, Back to the Future. I got that over there. I have the other Star Wars. I have a ton of Drew Struzan. Indiana Jones, we know. He did those style, and he did for every movie. Like he was the guy. So like when you had that and you had, In a World, like those type of voice actors doing the trailer voice actors, you had something special. It was a special time. And I don't think we'll ever get that back. Jeremy asks, I finished Quentin Tarantino's Cinema Speculation yesterday, and it was great. I have a new list of movies to track down. Cinema Speculation, I don't know that one. I'm going to have to check that out. And for anybody who doesn't know, Jeremy and I went to film school together, and we were roommates. Oh, it's a book. I'll check it out, man. Absolutely. Thanks for the heads up on that. I can't wait to check that out. Now you're gonna have me on a bunch of new movies. Jeremy and I went to film school together in Full Sail, and that man, you saw Jeremy on the Ghost Hunt when we went on the Ghost Hunt. You know Jeremy, so that man knows movies. That man knows makeup too. He was a good makeup artist. So, Chris, you have a question too, sir. What day are you driving down? I'm driving down Thursday. The wife and I are driving down Thursday. I don't know what time I'm going to get there. I have a show Thursday night, so we'll be live. Well, I'll be live. I think Dan might be joining in, but I think he's going to be joining in remote. Master Shake, because he'll be down there too. And then and then I've got interviews all day the next day. And then we'll be there the next night. I'll be doing a live show in the panel room. So we'll be doing the Scene Snobs Podcast live that Friday night. And then we will be doing I'll be doing a panel with Dee Wallace and Barbara Crampton that night. So it'll be cool. Bub says, speaking of Back to the Future, what do you think of the new one? There is no new one, and it's never going to be a new one, and there never should be a new one. And that's how I feel about it. I think it's done. To me personally, and I know people disagree with this, but I'm not thinking about this. So Back to the Future is my favorite movie of all time. Back to the Future Part 2 is not my favorite movie of all time. Back to the Future 3 is not my favorite movie of all time. I like them. And as a trilogy, I think it's the best trilogy that exists. Not because it's the best made movies that exist or the best movies that are put together as a trilogy. It's a cohesive story that goes all the way through and is best told in a trilogy format, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. I always stand by it. I like the movies. They have their problems. Don't get me wrong. But the first one is my favorite. But the first one's my favorite based purely on nostalgia and my pure love of watching it. It's so much fun. I still find thrill in it. It's just a great time. So I'm always in for it. And Reel to Reel. Is that another book? I'll check that out. BTTF is an untouchable IP for reboots or sequels, as it should be, in my opinion. Don't remake it. Don't reboot it. Don't do anything with it. Just leave it alone. Come up with something new. Just leave some stuff alone. Okay, I don't ever need to see 16 Candles remade. Some things are a perfect representation of its time. And it should be left at that. You know, there's so many stories that can be told and you're not telling them because you want to hit back up on that. Stop trying to fix everything. But I'll fix something. All right. Was that a good segue? I didn't get fully into my horrible bad week. I had a really rough couple of weeks. And I will get into it. I've been having a hard time talking about it, but I will get there. I did tell you some of it earlier, but let's get into I have a movie to fix. Kelly gave me this movie. Thank you, Kelly. It's The Quest from 1996, Jean Claude Van-Damme movie. And I went and rewatched The Quest, and she wanted to see if I could fix it. Now, before I get started on The Quest, 1996, a time of many fighting games and movies was coming out. We had Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and the movies were being made. We had Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Immortal Kombat, and so many more. I always like to mention Immortal Kombat because that was the Roddy Piper vehicle where it just made no sense and it goes off the rails really quickly. But what always kind of sparked my interest was when The Quest came out, it was actually had a lot of money behind it. And, Roger Moore's in it. James Remar's in it. It had a little bit of power, not for the time. Like I would say the biggest star in it, of course, was Jean Claude Van Damme. But by 1996, this is where his star hasn't faded completely. He still had some clout in the industry, but it wasn't as strong as it was maybe even like a year or two or three before. He was fading in certain areas. And so was his idea of an action movie. So when The Quest came out, this was a type of movie where they were really trying to hit that market of those fighting, the fighting games, turned movies like Mortal Kombats and Street Fighters and such, which is funny because, of course, we all know Jean Claude Van Damme was in the Street Fighter movie, which was abysmal and just terrible all around. So when, rewatching this movie, I haven't seen it since the 90s probably, it reminded me very heavily of Bloodsport. And here's where a lot of people are going to get mad at me. I think it, as a movie, story-wise, and as it's shot and filmed and acted, is better than Bloodsport. Now, if you put two movies in front of me and you say, which one are you going to watch every day? Bloodsport. I will listen to that cat meow during the music every day of the week. Yes, there is a cat meow. If you don't believe me, go back and rewatch the movie. So Jean Claude Van Damme, I do not know this for a fact. I tried to stay away from more of the trivia from it because I wanted to come at this from a point of view of like fixing the story or fixing like the elements of the movie that I feel needed fixing. And I didn't want to fix any of the politics of what went into the movie, what was happening, things like that. But I did want to share that as I was watching this and I was drawing comparisons, clearly somebody had to have gone up to Jean Claude Van Damme and say, hey guys, or hey Jean Claude, you were clearly in two of the greatest fight movies of all time, and we're trying to remake this and take the taste out of people's mouth from Street Fighter. Why don't we do something like basically Bloodsport and Street Fighter combined, or not really Street Fighter, but maybe like Bloodsport and Mortal Kombat combined, because it is more Mortal Kombat-esque. My biggest issue is it seems like a lot of ego went into this, whereas when I go back and I rewatch Bloodsport, there's so many laughable qualities of that movie. Especially the kid who plays young Jean Claude Van Damme in the movie, or Frank Du in the movie, is laughable. Every dubbed line he gives does not match the facial expression he's giving, does not match the body language that he's putting forward. His face and his body language don't match. It is horrible. Nothing about this works. He's being matched up against two other actors. Like one's a kid and the other one is Sonny Chiba. So, they're making it work, but this kid sucks. And then you're like adding this element of like running away from I don't even know, the U.S. military. And you have Forrest Whitaker now chasing him down. It was a lot of issues. I understand that it was based on a true story of Frank Du's life and things like that, whatever. But fast forward, now you got we're here with The Quest. And I really feel like this was a way for Jean Claude Van Damme to say, all right, I'm going to remake that. It's got some more money behind it. It's going to be better, blah, 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 blah. And again, I maintain story-wise it was. Here's my problem. The things that need to be fixed with this movie are Jean Claude Van Damme. Now, fighting-wise, fine. But you're never building any real suspense. Okay? Every bit of trouble that happens in this movie gets settled real fast. There's no true turmoil to it. At least in like Bloodsport, there's consequences. There's things that like Frank has to get through. And it's at times it's like, is this going to work? Is this going to happen? There's never a point where you're like, and his name is Chris Dubois in the movie. And, he's from America. And basically what happens is He's on the run from the mobsters and the cops because he is a clown during the day, and that's how he makes his money. And then like all the orphaned kids, like he collects them up and like takes care of them, but they rob people and they all kind of split it. So they decide to take on a shipment to the mob one day and take like the big score, and they get caught. Like the mob figures it out and they go after him, right after him. And it's like they shoot one of the kids, and I'm not laughing because the kid gets shot. I'm laughing because it's done laughably. Like they just did not do it well. And it's so weird how they kind of work it out. He runs away, and then the cops are after him as well, and he winds up fighting and getting knocked out, and he falls onto like this cargo that's being loaded onto the ship. And so he's just like knocked out. Nobody notices him on this cargo, and he gets loaded onto the ship. Then he gets found, and he's a stowaway. So they enslave him. They just like, oh, we have a stowaway, and they enslave him. They put him in shackles, and now, but the hardest thing he goes through is he grows a beard. That's it. It seems like a day later, he just has a full beard, and he's in a different country. They're going towards Thailand, and he's just like kind of swabbing the deck and pouring out the buckets over the side and stuff. There's nobody's beating him up. Nobody's doing anything to him. They're just like, get back to work. Like, that's it. Then their ship gets attacked, and he gets taken by somebody else and dropped off on an island to be a fight, like almost like a gladiator, like a fighting slave. Like, here you go. Here's another guy. Teach him Muay Thai, and there you go. It all ends up with him, chasing it, getting back together with like these con men who were the ones that sold him into this like fighting slave ring or whatever. And he wants to get back into, and he wants to go to this major fight. He becomes this big time fighter for them. And he wants to go to this big fight to prove who the best in the world is. And you can only go by invitation. He befriends the heavyweight boxing champ of the world, who's played by James Remar. And he tells him, he beats him in a fight, and there's like a lot of respect there. So he's like, all right, I'm going to coach you. And at this arena, they tell him, like, you can't leave. Like, you're here now. If you're going to give him your spot, you stay here for the rest of your life. You can't move. Win, lose, or draw, you're stuck. Oh no, he's like, unless he wins, you have to stay here. You're with us. And of course, we know how it goes. But like, the thing that I think gets in the way is that the only way to really fix this movie is you got to create a sense that there could be a loss. You have to give us, this feeling of he's going on this quest. It doesn't feel like a quest. It feels like a mishap each time that leads us, and they're not showing us any of the journey. Like, legitimately, he's a clown. He steals a bag. Immediately cuts to, there's nothing in the bag. The mob shows up, shoots a kid. He gets away. He's on a boat. Like, they're cutting things out that you really need in there. There's no real written drama to it. It's just like we're supposed to fill in the blanks. And I think that's lazy writing. And considering we know it's Jean Claude Van-Damme, we know he's going to be fine. We know he's going to win. So what's the point? At least like when we watch Kickboxer, he's not even a fighter at the beginning of it. He's helping his brother fight, and then he has to build and train for it. I would have much rather seen that. Like, okay, maybe he's off the streets, maybe he's a scrapper, and he gets dropped off on this island where he has to fight for years. But you don't even get the idea that he has to fight for years. It literally cuts to maybe like 6 months later, and like he's just now like this big fighter. So my biggest thing is, like, if you're going to fix this movie, and as it has been given to me, I'm adding elements where you can kind of motor through things quick. Like, I would maybe lose the kids side of it, make him more of a streetwise guy who, first of all, take out all the flashbacks, by the way. I don't need to know that he's an orphan. They had this weird flashback where his aunt reads a letter, which you don't even know what it says in the letter. And they're just like, your mom's not coming. She doesn't love you. And then she throws it on the ground and she's like, stay right here on this park bench. I'll be right back. And she never returns. And that's what you're led to believe. And the kid just grows up on the streets. And then he's just an adult, taking care of other kids. I would lose all that. But it starts off like with him as an old man. Oh my God. I'm sorry. My brain is like going a mile a minute with this, but because it's so disjointed. Because there's no, first off, when you start the movie, there is not a single voiceover. It's an old man walks into a bar. The bartender is like serving him a drink. He goes down. He's like, hey, when's the last time you've been here? He's like, oh, it's been a long time. And he's back in New York City where he's from. 3 guys come in to rob it. He beats them up, of course. And then like he sits down and then it just goes into the story of when he was a young man in New York. It just transfers into the story. So there's no reason for that opening. We don't need to know it. But then by the end, you cut back to a man holding a book and he's narrating it as if he's been reading us this book the whole time. But this book has never been around, right? It has never been around. It's never been read from. So like there's such a disjointed feel to it. So get rid of all that. Get rid of any flashbacks, anything like that. Have the street guy who's a con man who kind of knows how to scrap and fight. Maybe steal from the wrong guys. They beat him up, throw him on this boat. He gets taken. He's getting beaten every day. They break him, right? He's broken down. He's swabbing a deck or whatever. They sell him to this island of Muay Thai fighters, cut out all the other ones. Maybe there's the con man, and you want to keep the con men in there or whatever because they're a part of it. You keep, now they're on the boat, or they join the boat later rather than have the whole, like, let's blow up the boat thing. Have them come on, buy the guy, because you're like, oh, well, he is a fighter. We've been having him fight on the boat for kicks or whatever. They sell him off to the Muay Thai island. Now just show him for years training. Just training, getting better and better and better and better and better. And then he's pissed that he got sold by these guys because he trusted them or whatever. He's like, hey, we're going to get you off here. We're going to get you back to America, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This is how it's going to work. And then they sell him. And then cut back to he runs into him years later when he's like, kind of gained his freedom because he's become this big time fighter. And now he wants to go compete. And these guys are like, well, and he's going to kill these guys because he's like, you sold me. And now you're done. And now they're like, well, we can help you get into that tournament, and we got this reporter who's here and she wants to do a story on it. Like, we're headed that way. We can get you in this tournament. We have an idea. We're going to con this heavyweight champ. Then you can bring it back around. Now you've told the story that actually feels like a quest. You get to the fight and it doesn't feel like a super fast fight that has all these different, like a sumo wrestler. You have one dude dressed like a fandango dancer. Like, you have all these crazy stereotypical video game type characters from Street Fighter. And, whatever, you can keep that in there if you want to have that element. But now you've given us enough of a story where it's drama and he's gone through hell and you want him to win. But then add those big elements of like blood sport when they threw the dust in his eyes and he had to figure out how to fight blind. But maybe don't do that, but do something like he gets handicapped in it. Like each fight, he's fighting such different styles. Each fight is hurting him in a different way. He has to figure out how to work around it. So when he finally gets to the last fight, he's fighting each of the different ways that he learned throughout. I don't know. That's the way I would probably fix the quest and have it finish out. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Please let me know in the comments. Sound off. Did I fix that movie? I would love to hear about it. So I appreciate you guys joining in for me tonight. Thank you to Josh Schubart for joining in. I'm going to bring him back on soon so that way we can hopefully show his short film to see his transformation in Ben Grimm, The Thing, and talk about that a little bit more, geek out with him. Can't wait for you guys to check out the shows this weekend, next week and such. Actually, this weekend, starting Thursday, we'll be doing another Horror Conversations. Of course, we are official representatives of Carolina Fear Fest. It's happening from the 26th through the 28th. But this Thursday, we will be doing another Horror Conversations. And these will be continuing out every month. We'll be doing one. all throughout the year from now on, as we go on. So make sure you guys are joining in for that. We're going to be doing that Thursday night. So join in. Then, of course, we're going to be having sporadic shows all throughout. Make sure you're following us on all social media because we're going to be doing lives in different places. We're going to be putting up videos, pictures, the whole 9 yards. If you have any questions you want me to ask any of the celebrities that are going to be there, go check it out. Can't wait for you guys to be a part of it. I think you guys will have a lot of fun. Carolina Fear Fest is a great time. And we're going to be talking some horror. Guys, if you also are interested, go check out our merch store is open. We got some really fun stuff. We got t-shirts, mugs, stickers, the whole 9 yards. You can go check it out, snobsmerch.com. We have some fun designs. We have even more new fun designs that are out even after this. We'd love for you to go check it out. We have our horror nerd shirt. We got some sci-fi stuff out. I absolutely would love for you to go check it out. Our newest episode of Warp Factor Fiction, episode 5, is out on our Patreon right now. You can go check that out. We talked about Enterprise Season 3, episodes 1 through 12. And episode 6 will be out this week with a new episode on YouTube of Quarter Impulse. But you can check out the first 4 episodes out as a podcast or on YouTube right now. It is available. And if you guys are interested, we also have our Patreon up. So go check that out. We have 6 tiers available. We have a lot of fun stuff. We appreciate all the support that you guys give us. We're just trying to keep the lights on and keeping this thing going. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. And as you guys know, we do this because we love it. We have a lot of great people that are a part of this, the Scary Snobs, the Betting Bros, things like that, and more. My son is a part of this as well, and he's going to have a couple other shows coming up. We're going to start doing video games soon and things like that. But the Scene Snobs podcast is my baby. I absolutely love this. And when you guys join in on this and things like that, it really makes for a great time, and I truly appreciate you. So thank you guys for joining. You guys are amazing. The Snob Nation, I love you. I can't wait to hang out with a bunch of you this weekend at Carolina Fear Fest. I'm so excited. Until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan. Make sure to check out the Scene Snobs. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure to like and follow, rate and review. Helps us go a long way. And I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Love you all. Have a good night.